Shanghai is a city that has seen massive change in the past 30 years. From 1987 to 2013, the city changed from a rather simple business center for China into a behemoth with a skyline of massive skyscrapers. Our first day in China included a trip to Yu Garden. While its story may be that of purely Chinese influence, the garden's creation in a way sets the tone for the way Shanghai was built, with influence from its surroundings. When a government official's son fails an imperial exam, he decides to take up a project of building a peaceful retirement property for his parent. In the construction, the man spends extravagant amounts of money procuring stone from quarries, the 5-ton porous jade rock, and the intricate designs in the traditional Chinese design. By selecting everything so specifically and purposefully, no matter where it came from, the garden stood as a representation of the best nature had to offer in the area. Our second day in China had us exploring the transportation and roadways of the sprawling city of Shanghai by bicycle. The paths we took brought us to see the Waibaidu Bridge, the oldest completely steel bridge in the city since it opened to the public in 1908. Today, Shanghai is home to over 26 million people. Fun fact, the 2019 population of Texas is 28.7 million. It's expanding even more and investing in infrastructure to support even more people. One of the main recent focuses we learned was improving the quality of life for the patrons of the big city. This involves the encouragement of physical exercise, the construction of the very bicycle and walking paths we followed during the first leg of our ride. In the second leg, we were able to see innovation introduced during the 26-year rapid development. The Nanpu Bridge, a cable bridge, opened in 1991, and the Lupu Bridge, the world's second longest arch bridge, opened in 2003. These show modern techniques in bridge design, and with their development illustrates the short time of expansion between a simple cable bridge and world record level ambition.
The Bund is a famous waterfront on the west bank of the Huangpu River and is regarded as a symbol of Shanghai. Here, the charm of Shanghai as a bustling metropolis combined with century-old history and the flourishing future makes it a must-see attraction. The Bund has 26 colonial-era buildings of different Western architecture styles along its mile length from the United States, France, the UK, Italy, Russia, Germany, Japan, the Netherlands, and Belgium, which give it the Bund Shanghai notoriety as the World Expo of International Architecture. These buildings were first built for financial purposes in international trade. Now they are used as banks, hotels, exclusive clubs, press organizations, and the headquarters for international companies. Of the many notable buildings along the Bund, the Shanghai Tower stands tall. At a height of 632 meters, or 2,073 feet, the Shanghai Tower is the second tallest building in the world. It was designed by Chinese architect Jun Shi with the help of an American developing firm. The building twists upwards in a spiral, which is very important for tall buildings in order to combat strong winds. Next, there is the bottle opener. The formal title is the Shanghai World Financial Center. However, it's commonly known as the bottle opener for obvious reasons. Something worth pointing out is that it is designed by an American architect, Con Peterson Fox, who teamed up with a Chinese developing firm. Finally, there's the Pearl Tower. It's the world's 6th tallest TV and radio tower. It's often described in Chinese verse as a large and small pearls dropping on a plate of jade. The first sphere is called the bottom ball. It houses the Oriental Pearl Science Fantasy World and a revolving restaurant. The second sphere is known as an upper ball. It houses a glass-bottom sightseeing corridor if you dare to stand on it. I was so kindly helped onto the deck by one of my wonderful classmates. The third sphere is called the space capsule. The inside resembles a space shuttle, and an astronaut welcomes you at the entrance, and you are allowed to learn about space up there. Tourists can buy a ticket and go up to see all 3 parts separately or together.
Beijing was found during the 1st century of the Eastern Zhou period in 700 BC, at the time known as Peking or Peiping. While during different periods of history it served as the capital of the ruling party, it was never permanent until the Communist Party captured and established it as such in 1949. In ancient and imperial times, there was only traditional architecture of China. When you think of the expansion of Beijing, you start with the imperial-era trio of the Summer Palace, the Temple of Heaven, and the Forbidden City. Visiting the Summer Palace felt like vacation, and during the Qing Dynasty that is exactly what it became. The emperor would leave the hot Forbidden City for his lakeside palace, the Kunming Lake, a lake that was man-made larger than its original size for the creation of the palace. The other main structure is the palace grounds that extend up Longevity Hill. The ancient Chinese architecture and the walkway leading up to it make for a culturally enriching experience. and a very informative session on tradition behind the reason its palace on the hill has the emperor facing south. The Temple of Heaven, constructed 1406 to 1420, later extended and renamed the Temple of Heaven in the 16th century, consisting of a series of beautiful ornate wooden temples upon slats of marble and the Heart of Heaven altar where the emperor prayed for favorable weather, harvest, and prosperity for the Empire of China. It was turned into a park in 1914. The Forbidden City, the beautiful non-summer palace of the emperor in the heart of downtown Beijing, adjacent to present-day Tiananmen Square. In the simple architecture of the times and local summer palace, the Forbidden City contains the emperor's throne facing south as tradition would have it, and served as the capital and home of the emperor of the Ming and Qing dynasty from 1420 to 1912. The city has been turned into a relic in a museum park of sort.
Located directly behind the Forbidden City sits Jingxing Park, a 57-acre plot of land that contains one of the best vantage points of the city. The mid-summit of Coal Hill is the highest point in all of Beijing. This photo illustrates the different periods of architecture in Beijing mixed together. In the foreground are communist high-rises, in the middle ground the imperial Forbidden City, and in the background the new architecturally distinct skyscrapers. In the years leading up to the 2008 Olympics, Beijing's dilapidated housings and urban buildings were demolished. The historic areas, including many of the city's landmarks, were refurbished, and the city's historic places, including the Forbidden City, were restored. Tiananmen Square is considered to be one of the most heavily surveyed places on the planet. It is roughly 109 acres in size and is home to some of the most important government structures. These include the Grand Hall of the People, the National Museum, and Mao's Mausoleum. Inside of the People's Congress, each district's room is different in design to reflect their region. While the sheer size and structure of the square is impressive, it will always be haunted by the Tiananmen Massacre in 1989, where soldiers were firing upon protesters that resulted in the deaths of hundreds to thousands of citizens. One of the largest architectural achievements is buried deep below the streets of Beijing. Opening in 1969, the Beijing subway system was a major accomplishment in accommodating a rapidly growing city. It was easy to quickly build as the tunnels were already in place as bomb shelter passageways. Essentially, an underground city was repurposed into a transportation network that around 21 million people depend on each and every day. Thanks to the 2008 Olympics, a massive expansion was added to the subway system that took the original 2 lines to 21. The Chinese hoped that the Beijing 2008 Summer Olympics would mark China's emergence as a major global player. They viewed the Olympics as an opportunity for the country to show to the world how democratic, open, civilized, friendly, and harmonious it is. They embraced the basic ideals of the Olympics with their slogan, "One World, One Dream." And they invested nearly $40 billion in infrastructure leading up to the Games from 2002 to 2006. It truly has transformed Beijing's cityscape. The National Stadium, otherwise known as the Bird's Nest, was designed by Swiss architectural firm Herzog and Moran in collaboration with Chinese artists and architects. In an effort to design something that was both open and a public vessel, the team studied Chinese ceramics. This line of thought brought the team to a nest theme. The stadium will be used again in Beijing's 2022 Winter Olympics opening ceremonies.
The Great Wall. Built to its grandeur in the Qing dynasty, the Great Wall stands as one of the biggest national projects done by the Chinese government. Recognized as one of the new 7 wonders of the world, the structure epitomizes the culture of the nation and was even molded together with a paste mortar made from a Chinese culture staple, sticky white rice.